Hi, you're listening to the Love and Money podcast with Shakira, and today I'm going to talk about inflation and what is going on with inflation. A brief definition of inflation. I'm just going to go over it. You probably already know what it is, but I'm going to go over it. An example of inflation would be, say you bought a glass of orange juice, and this glass of orange juice costs $3. With inflation, this glass of orange juice is no longer going to cost $3. It's going to cost $5. So that's an example of inflation. That's the reason why the people are watching inflation to make sure that it stays down. So that's inflation in a nutshell. So there are three major companies that are faced with rising inflation, and they are warning that inflation is set to hit. Those three major retailers are Costco, Nike, and Fedex. They're all looking at their profit and loss statement and they're trying to figure out what to do. They're challenged with whether they're going to pass on costs to um, their customers or they're trying to figure out their balance sheet, how they're going to make a profit. Are they going to pass down the extra cost to their customers or what they're going to do? So that's what these three major companies are faced with: Costco, Nike, and FedEx. And they're warning that inflation is coming. So what they are seeing they're seeing rising shipping costs. They are seeing cost to ship containers overseas are soaring. Um, and so they're basically seeing a rise in increasing in prices on their end. And so they're trying to figure out how they're going to stay in business. So they're having rising shipping costs. They're having the cost to ship containers overseas and has increased. And so an example of that is so they get some of their supplies from over in China, like Shanghai, for example. Like some of the things that we buy, you'll see that it says on it like made in China. Like if you see like a nice pretty piece of pottery or um, some pretty clothes, you'll see that it says made in China. So they have trucks or freight that goes and get these products from China and brings it over here to the US. And so an example of what they are experiencing after the pandemic. So normally to get a 40-foot container from Shanghai to New York, it would cost $2,000 a year. This was before the pandemic. So after the pandemic, that same 40-foot container to get it from Shanghai to New York, instead of costing $2,000, is costing the company $16,000. So that's what they're seeing. That's what they're faced with right now. Rising inflation. There is the cost of um, increases in apparel, in containers, in transportation, in trucking to get it to the distribution center. So instead of $2,000 a year, it's costing $16,000 a year. So that's one example of what the retailers are seeing, and they're trying to figure out what to do. So FedEx, for example, what they have come up with to help their company out is they're going to increase shipping rates. So if you have packages that you want to ship out and you want to use FedEx, they plan to increase those prices. So you may not notice it too much, but say, for example, you want to send out an envelope. Say normally it would cost $3, for example. So they plan to increase that. So instead of $3, you're paying $4. So it may not be too noticeable, but this is what they are planning to do. They're planning, FedEx in particular, is planning to increase shipping rates. And then there are FedEx is experiencing labor shortages, people not coming to work. So that impacts their bottom line also. So Costco, Nike, and FedEx in particular. Hey Teresa, I see you, but I haven't learned how to use live stream yet. Thank you for watching. I love you. So, okay, so back to what I'm talking about. Costco, Nike, and FedEx, they're in the news warning that inflation is coming. And so this is what everybody is trying to prevent from happening. They're trying to prevent inflation. They're trying to keep their businesses afloat, and they want the labor, the people to come back. Because as you know, when people were getting unemployment, they weren't going to work. They say, "Why should I go to work? I'm making more money at home than I am being at work." So all this time that people were not at work, the businesses were being negatively impacted by that. So the retailers are challenged, like I said before, with how much are they going to pass on to the consumer? They're looking at their profit and loss. They're looking at their profit and losses, and they're trying to figure out how much are they going to pass on to the retailer, and how are they going to keep their profit margin in the positive. Because what's most important to these businesses are they making money? So are they spending more money on expenses? Like, are they spending more money? Does it take more money to get these products from Shanghai to New York? Are they spending more money on expenses than what they're making? So that's what the retailers are struggling with now. And they're warning that inflation is coming. So these are the effects of the pandemic, what they are seeing before the pandemic started, and the after effect of the pandemic. Costco, Nike, FedEx, keeping themselves afloat, getting the employees back to work, and how much money are they? How much of the price that they're experiencing? How much are they going to pass on to you? So why do you care? Why should you care about this? Well, basically, um, this is the Love and Money podcast. And the purpose of this podcast is to expose you to successful people. I know you're watching and you're already successful. You're already doing good, but I wanted to expose you to maybe things that you have not been exposed to, things that have been kept secret. So why should you care about what is going on with Costco, Nike, and FedEx? Is because you want to keep as much money in your pocket as possible. The purpose of you keeping as much money in your pocket as possible is, instead of spending that extra $2 or $3 on products, that you're putting that money away in the stock market. So that's the reason why you want to know what is going on with inflation, and you want to keep inflation down, just like everybody else wants to keep inflation down. Because that money, you're keeping it and you're throwing it into the stock market. You're investing. You are starting to read more books on investing and coming up with more creative ways to make money and to grow your wealth. So I just wanted to come in and share that with you. What is going on with the big retailers? What is going on as far as them looking at their profit and loss statement and them trying to figure out what they're going to do to keep themselves afloat, and them thinking about rising prices. So, this is the Love and Money podcast with Shakira. If you like this podcast, please share it with one other person, and please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for listening.